The year is 1924. A heavy fog clings to the iron tracks of the American Midwest. Most bandits of this era are loud, desperate men with smoking guns, but the four shadows moving through the mist carry something far more lethal: a plan. Imagine a group of criminals who never drew blood, never shouted, and never wore masks. They moved through the Gilded Age of banking like ghosts in fine wool suits, leaving behind empty vaults and a trail of utter, silent confusion for the law. To the world, they were the Kiev brothers, gentlemen of high society and pillars of the community. One was a humble accountant, another a dedicated mathematics teacher. But beneath the veneer of respectability lay the most successful heist machine in United States history. This is the story of the Newton brothers, the siblings who transformed the crude violence of the Wild West into a sophisticated, high-stakes craft. They didn't just rob banks. They outsmarted the very fabric of the modern American financial system itself. Part 1. The Perfect Crew. It began with Willis Newton, the eldest and undisputed mastermind. Willis didn't see himself as a common thief. To him, robbery was a professional trade, requiring the same precision as surgery and the same cold, calculated foresight as a master structural engineer. Willis recruited his siblings to form an unbreakable unit. Joe, the youngest, possessed a genius-level memory. He could walk into a lobby and instantly memorize every door, every latch, and every subtle flicker of a guard's eye, spotting the smallest structural weakness. The middle brothers, Willie and Jess, provided the muscle and the nerves. While they harbored a taste for the high life, fast horses, and expensive gambling dens, they functioned as the perfect soldiers, executing Willis's complex blueprints with a terrifying, silent, mechanical efficiency. Their philosophy was simple, yet revolutionary. Violence was a failure of intelligence. If a job required a bullet, it wasn't planned well enough. They dressed in the finest fabrics, spoke with refined accents, and used charm as their primary lock-picking tool. In the quiet towns of Texas, they lived double lives. Neighbors saw them as successful businessmen, never suspecting that the men drinking tea next door were the same figures disappearing into the night to dismantle the heavy steel doors of regional wealth. Part 2. The Art of Deception. Their most daring feat occurred aboard a luxury steam train. Disguised as high-ranking railway staff, the brothers moved through the mahogany cars with practiced ease. They smelled of expensive tobacco and cedar, radiating an aura of official, calm, and reassuring authority. With practiced smiles, they warned the wealthy passengers of a dangerous gang lurking on the tracks ahead. They convinced the panicked travelers to hand over their diamonds and cash for safekeeping in a secure compartment, playing perfectly on the passengers' deep-seated fears. By the time the train reached its destination, the staff had vanished into the darkness. The passengers realized too late that the bandits they feared were the very men who had politely offered to protect their fortunes just a few miles earlier. Their bank heists were equally psychological. Willis would sit in the manager's office, discussing massive land investments with forged deeds. He projected the image of a titan of industry, distracting the leadership while his brothers worked the floor with surgical quiet. While the manager checked the forged papers, the other brothers would whisper to the tellers. They claimed their partner in the office was armed and ready. The tellers, terrified but hushed, emptied the drawers without a single person noticing the crime. Part 3. The Fall Begins. Over their long career, the Newtons successfully looted 80 banks and 16 trains. They accumulated over $3 million, a staggering $45 million in today's currency. Yet despite the massive scale of their crimes, they never left a single physical scar. But even the most perfect machines eventually develop a rattle. The downfall began when Willis allowed the group's focus to drift. In a rare lapse of judgment, Willie attempted a solo heist in Florida, failing to account for the new electrical alarms. The law finally caught up with the gentlemen thieves. Even in the face of long prison sentences, the bond of the brothers remained absolute. Not one of them turned informant. They maintained their silence and their dignity, even as the steel doors closed. Willis, ever the strategist, used his hidden reserves of wealth to hire the finest legal minds in the country. After serving short sentences, the brothers emerged into a world that had moved on from the era of the grand, cinematic train robbery. Remarkably, Willis Newton transitioned into a life of legitimate business. He lived to the age of 91, a quiet patriarch in a changing world. Before he passed, he shared his incredible secrets with an author, finally cementing their place in American folklore. Part 4. Legacy of Silence. The Newton brothers represented a unique moment in history, a bridge between the lawless frontier and the organized crime of the modern age. They proved that the most effective weapon isn't a loaded gun, but a well-tailored suit and a brilliant mind. Their legacy remains a paradox of the criminal world. They were outlaws who respected the law of human nature. They took millions from the powerful, yet they never took a life, leaving behind a story that feels more like a legend. Today, the vaults they once emptied are museums or ruins, but the brilliance of their methods still echoes. They were the Kiev brothers, the architects of the silent heist, who treated the world's most secure banks like a deck of marked cards. History remembers the violent and the loud, but it is haunted by the ones who got away with it in silence. The Newtons didn't just break the law, they rewrote the rules of the game and left the board completely untouched.